Hello, Travel Week readers. Thank you for being here with us today. It is a pleasure to have you on. I am so excited for today's show. We have Josie Ratnayake. Is that right, Josie? Sorry.
So close, Ratnayake.
Ratnayake. I practiced it a few times. And so Josie Ratnayake, who is the tourism manager from Travel Portland, and she is here today to give us a fabulous presentation about the destination Portland. Before we get started, I'm just going to share a few housekeeping notes with you. As always, travel agents, if you have any questions during today's webinar, please feel free to pop them into the Q&A box at the very bottom of your screen. I'll pop back on at the end of today's webinar, and I will ask any of those questions on your behalf for Josie to be able to answer. We also have a really awesome prize for today's webinar. For those of you who stay through to the very end of today's webinar, you're going to be eligible for a $150 gift card to Columbia Sportswear, which is such an awesome brand. And Josie's going to share a little bit more about why Travel Portland chose that as today's prize. So she will share that. And I think that is all in terms of housekeeping today. So without further ado, I will pass the floor over to Josie, and I'll see you again at the end of the show. Josie, thank you so much for being here. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Candace, for that really warm introduction. It's a pleasure to be here virtually. Hello from Portland, Oregon. So we'll start off with just a little bit of a geography lesson. I imagine that many of you already know where the state of Oregon is and where Portland is, but just as if you need a bit of a refresher, Oregon is on the west coast of the United States. So just north of Oregon is the state of Washington, and you'll see there's a dot there for Seattle. Portland to Seattle is just about a 3.5 hour drive. And then just south of Oregon is the state of California. Portland, we are known as the City of Roses. In fact, you can see in my virtual background many roses, which are currently in bloom and beautiful right now. But you'll learn a bit more about our natural beauty. But the size of Portland, just to kind of give you a sense, it's about 2.1 million in the metropolitan area. So we're really this kind of cosmopolitan, metropolitan destination that's nestled among the evergreens, because we are in a temperate rainforest. So you just have this natural beauty. And in the background there, you'll see that's Mount Hood. And Mount Hood is just about an 1.5 hour drive from downtown Portland. So when you head east of Portland, you can go along the Columbia River Gorge to get out to that mountain. Or if you head east or head west of Portland, that'll get you out to the Oregon coast, and which is about another 1.5 hours away the other direction. So just to speak a little bit about our airports, the Portland International Airport, which is roughly about 15 to 20 minute drive from the downtown core. We're so proud of our airport. Travelers have actually named PDX as one of the best airports in the United States. Happy to brag about that. Oftentimes we've been ranked #1 or #2 some years, but I think it's because the airport really features a lot of different local retailers and restaurants. Like, the airport's extremely committed to that. The airport too is going through a major renovation and expansion that is set to open in 2025. And you can see just from that artist rendering, really bringing in the natural like forestry and greenery into the space, into the interior of the airports. So we're really excited for when that is completed. In the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see that's the Max Light Rail, which is our train system. And the train, it's super convenient because it'll pick up right at the airport, and for just $2.50, it'll take you to anywhere throughout town, but specifically it'll get you to the downtown core where the majority of hotels are located. And then when we speak about the flights coming in from Canada to Portland, we do have nonstop and direct flights from various cities in Canada. So on Air Canada, you can fly from Vancouver and Toronto nonstop to Portland. And then from Calgary, you can get to Portland, and that's on WestJet. So we definitely have some great flight options to get folks from Canada to Portland. And here's just a quick little overview or lay of the land, if you will. And this is, we're known as Bridge City. We have a lot of nicknames you'll find, but another one besides Rose City is Bridge City. And we have 10 bridges that cross the Willamette River. And that river connects with the Columbia River that eventually empties out into the Pacific Ocean. But the Willamette River is really our divider between the east and the west part of Portland. So this is just kind of highlighting some of the various attractions within Portland that we'll talk about a bit more later. But then again, you've got those arrows that are showing you how to get to, whether it be the Columbia River Gorge, Mount Hood, Wine Country, which is in the valley, or the Oregon coast. So really, it's just kind of a great jumping off point to get to some of those other spots as well. I always think of Portland as really this city of neighborhoods. You know, I grew up in the Midwest of the US in Indiana. And so coming to Portland when I moved out here in 2007, I think I was just so captivated by this concept of all these little micro neighborhoods within one city. So we are divided into these, what we call quadrants. And as the city has expanded, the quadrants, there are about 5 of them listed right there. So you have north, northeast, southeast, southwest, and south combined, and northwest. So within these quadrants, you're going to find a variety of these little micro neighborhoods. And to me, again, it just really makes Portland so special because these little micro neighborhoods each have their own personality and their own uniqueness to them. So for example, you might want to pop over to the Alberta Arts District. Actually, a good friend of mine who lives in London is going to she's going to come to Portland to showcase her artwork at one of the galleries on Alberta Street. So that whole street and neighborhood lined up with different art galleries. You might have a visitor or client that loves vintage or resale shop, which Portland's all about. So that would be a spot you'd send them to Hawthorne neighborhood, which is in Southeast Portland. It's just kind of lined with those retail shops. So again, each of those neighborhoods really has its own fun individual its own individual characteristics and personality. So it's, even though someone might be coming for Portland, they can have all these really interesting different experiences in those neighborhoods. Also wanted to share about different ways of getting around Portland. And we understand that, you know, some folks from Canada are going to be driving and to Portland, especially for those coming from the Vancouver area. And so there's also, we just wanted to share that if they don't have their own vehicle, that's totally okay. In fact, I don't own a car. I can easily get around Portland by taking our public transportation. So you already learned about the Max Light Rail, but there's also this great streetcar, and I can take that often to get from where I live in Northwest to the downtown core. There's a great bus system. You can get around by foot very easily, just by walking around, or you can also get around by bicycle, which we'll talk about here momentarily. This bridge is my all-time favorite bridge. I think I mentioned that we're Bridge City, and one of the bridges, this one's pretty new. I want to say it's almost 10 years old now, and it was built specifically only for pedestrians, bikers, or public transit. They don't allow personal vehicles over that bridge. So as you can see, Portland's really committed to just the public transit. I often hear some Europeans say, wow, this feels very European to them, like Portland as a city, because it reminds them of just how easy it is to get around with different modes of transportation and not have to have a vehicle. And one of those great ways to get around, and this is how I'll actually be getting home today, is on one of the Bike Town bikes. So the picture on the right, that's an e-bike. So all of the bike towns, it's a bike share program, and it's really easy to sign up as a visitor. You can unlock the bikes just by downloading this simple app. And the e-bike share program, I mean, all of these bikes now have recently been converted into electric bikes. I'm telling you, you can zoom around really quickly on those bicycles. If you haven't tried one, I highly recommend it. They're a blast. On the left on that picture, that's Cycle Portland, and there are many other different companies too that you can rent the classic bicycle, the non-electric version, but then they will be able to give you your helmet and even take you on a variety of different tours, including the city tour. But Portland, again, so committed to being a bike-friendly town. You can see these greenways in both of those pictures. In fact, one of the streets, one of the main thoroughfares that runs right along the river, it's called NATO Parkway, they took out one of the whole car lanes and converted it into a bike lane. And I tell you, I use it daily to get to and from work, and it's amazing how fast you can get along that bike lane now. So really great for any of your clients that love to be on bicycles. Just really easy to get around that way too. Folks often ask me, Josie, why do people come to Portland? And we have data and a lot of research that shows that one of the biggest reasons people come to Portland is because of our food and drink scene. We are known as a foodie town. And the foodiness is anywhere from going to a street food, like getting street food at a food cart, or it might be a fine dining experience and anything in between. We often say like the first rule to exploring Portland's dining scene is that there are no rules, because you can just get a variety of cuisine, whether you maybe even do a happy hour spot or go get some fun brunch somewhere. We just have endless amount of food options here in Portland. And you'll even be able to come visit the farmers markets, or your clients or your visitors will be able to come visit the farmers markets, which we have one that's right at Portland State University in the downtown core, and it is year round now. Portland's surrounded by this fertile farmland, and local chefs take full advantage of that farmland because they're getting their bounty from there and creating their dishes using the local produce. So here you can see, I mean, we're in full, it's just like you go to the farmer's market now and it's just so exciting because we're at full capacity in terms of like what's being sold and produced at this time. At the Peaches, I just went to, there's a farmer's market downtown on Wednesdays near our office, and I bought some peaches and some amazing blackberries. So it's just a really neat way to experience Portland's food scene by going to one of these farmers markets. And again, these chefs also love these farmers market. You'll oftentimes see chefs from the local restaurants shopping and getting their produce and their meats from these markets. And we have had a lot of accolades for Portland and the dining scene just this past year. In fact, Chef Gregory Gourdet, who opened up a restaurant during the pandemic, he opened it up as a pop-up. His restaurant is called Khan, and now it's a full-fledged brick and mortar restaurant. He won the James Beard Award for Best New Restaurant. If you're not familiar with those awards, think of it kind of like the Academy Awards or the Oscars, but for the culinary scene. So that was a huge honor for Chef Gregory, and we couldn't be more proud of him. He's been a phenomenal ambassador of Portland, and his restaurant is Haitian. And then another chef Vince Nguyen of Berlou, his Vietnamese restaurants won a James Beard Award, and that was he won Best Chef in Pacific Northwest. So getting so many accolades right now, it's we're just so proud of the food scene here in Portland. And as you can see, it's all types of ethnic cuisine too, whether it be Haitian, Vietnamese, French, Italian, you name it, it's here in Portland. It's just the concept of like using all of those fresh ingredients in the meals and dishes. You find so many different like farm meals too. This one is specifically at Side Yard Farm, which is here in Portland too, to be able to experience one of those meals as well. So lots of great food, lots of great food. You won't go hungry in Portland. And I mentioned briefly the food carts. There are over 600. It's a lot. And there are also these really neat food cart pods where there's seating, and then there's some places have heaters or they'll have fire pits. But Travel Portland just decided, oh my goodness, a couple 2 years ago, said, you know what, there are so many food carts. Let's try to capture all that information on our website. So the food cart finder was created, and you can now search out these different food carts. And what's great about it is that you can actually filter it by cuisine and even dietary needs. So if someone's gluten-free or dairy-free like me, then they can easily just filter out to find those different food carts that meet their needs. Coffee is a really big scene. There's a big coffee scene too in Portland. We joke and say that the Portland's coffee culture keeps locals caffeinated and visitors alike. But Portland is known for the third wave coffee epicenter. So that means like the coffee roasters are sourcing their coffee beans directly from farmers to create small batch, like artisanal coffee. And so if visitors or your clients really want to dive deep into the coffee culture, they can take a tour with Third Wave Coffee Tours. There's Laura there that owns the Third Wave Coffee Tours. They can just they'll take you around to different coffee roasters so you can experience all the caffeine. And by the end of the tour, I've taken the tour, but honestly, by the end of the tour, you've had your fill of caffeine. But Stumptown Coffee is, I've probably heard of Stumptown, but that is the pioneer of the third wave coffee movement. And they have 4 cafes in town. And they do offer like free public cupping every afternoon too. Craft beer, there's also a very large craft beer scene. I mean, we have another nickname called Beervana or Brewvana, and Portland is home to over 75 different local breweries. And, you know, I think one of the reasons why it's become such a haven for brew makers is because the hops to make the beer are grown here locally in the Willamette Valley. And also too, it's said that our water is so fresh and so pure that that's another reason why these brew makers just love to brew here in Portland. And we do also have tours available specifically for beer for those beer lovers. So we talked a lot about the food scene, and you're kind of, I think, getting a sense that Portland does have this very urban cosmopolitan feel. Yet it's also what I found so surprising and enjoyable when I first moved here in 2007 was that you just have the nature is at your fingertips. And you have direct access to it. So just about 10-minute drive from the downtown area, you get up to Washington Park. And within Washington Park is the International Rose Test Garden, which has over 10,000 different rose bushes. Also within the Washington Park is where you'll find the Portland Japanese Garden, the Oregon Zoo, World Forestry Center. There is a trail, the Wildwood Trail, that connects the Washington Park over to Forest Park, which is a picture of Forest Park on the right-hand side of the screen. And Forest Park, you'll find me there during the weekends. I just love to get up there. There are 70 miles worth of hiking trails, and you are just surrounded by these, I mean, ginormous trees, and it's green all year round because we are in a temperate rainforest. So it's just stunning to be in the woods, but be so close to downtown at the same time. So also within Forest Park is the Pittock Mansion, which is another great attraction to go visit. That home was built in the early 1900s. It's got a lot of great history, and also just these spectacular views from Pittock Mansion because you're kind of perched up in the hills. So you have these spectacular views overlooking downtown and Mount Hood on a clear day. The Willamette River, which I mentioned earlier, it does divide the city in half, or between the east side and west side. And you can do a multitude of things on the river, whether it's taking the Portland River Cruise and having dinner, or listening to a narration about the city, or you can get out on a kayak, or if you like to stand up paddleboard like I do, you can get out there and stand up paddleboard. Just really accessible to get out onto the river. And the Willamette Falls is also, it's really mostly accessible by some sort of watercraft or boat. And that is just down in Oregon City, which is part of the Portland region. And another reason people love to come to visit Portland too is because we don't have any sales tax in Oregon. So it's great to be able to come do shopping and not have to worry about that sort of sales tax. And one big attraction that folks love to come see, and anytime I have friends and family in town, that's like always on their list, is to go to Powell's Bookstore. And Powell's Bookstore is the largest independent used and new bookstore in the United States. It occupies an entire block. It's so large that you walk in, they have an info desk, and they have maps. They actually have maps of the whole store, so you can find what section that you want to get lost in, because it is 68,000 square feet. This is the big store. So it's a lot of fun to go visit. And I will mention that we're so excited. The visitor center just opened after being closed for 3 years. And so that just opened, and it's about a block and a half away from Powell's Bookstore. So great to send any of your clients there too, if they need additional information during their stay. Let's see, the DIY makers culture. So there has just been this like really movement, and it's been happening for years in Portland. Portland is a hub for artists, entrepreneurs, creators. So you'll find a lot of different community studios and warehouses and maker spaces. So here in the picture, you'll see that's Made Here PDX, where every product in that store is made by someone in Portland. It's just remarkable to me that I'm not creative. I have no creative bone in my body. So like just to see the artistry of whether it be food products or clothes products or furniture products, they have it in that store. Aurochs Leather. I just love this family. This family, they're from Oaxaca. So the name Aurochs comes from the OR stands for Oregon. OX stands for Oaxaca, and they're a multi-generational family that have really just like, it's just so impressive of what they've done with their leather good products, whether they're making purses or belts or wallets. It is just really impressive to see their work. And you can go into their store. They have 2 stores, one downtown, one in Old Town Chinatown, and you can actually see them like in action making the goods. And we encourage visitors to embrace that DIY and embrace their inner artist, and they can actually go make different products at the DIY bar, which is in North Portland. I mean, you can make customized luggage tags or those beer koozies. You can even make a cat scratcher. All while doing this, you can sip on local wine, beer, and cider or kombucha that they serve there at the DIY bar. And then another place that that visitors can go to see and meet the artists would be at the Portland Saturday markets. And it's been in operation since 1974. It's actually the largest continually operating outdoor arts and crafts market in the nation and in the United States. It's located on the Waterfront Park, and it's really near Old Town and Chinatown. And it's a unique opportunity for visitors to meet the local artists. And there are about 250 vendors that attend the Saturday market. So there's Portland, and then of course it expands out into the region, which includes Tualatin Valley. So for any wine lovers, if you have wine lover clients, it's amazing to send them out to the Tualatin Valley. We are known for Pinot Noirs, Chardonnays, Pinot Gris. I had worked at a winery years ago, and they said that we're on the same latitude as the area in France that produces Pinot Noirs. So it's just kind of that same growing, like you have to have the really hot days and then cool nights to be able to grow the Pinot Noir grape. So this is one of the wineries in the Tualatin Valley. And I mean, these wineries are only 20 to 30 minutes away from the downtown core of Portland's. For any of those adventure lovers, when you look to the picture on the right, that's the Vernonia Banks Trail, which is it's miles and miles worth of bike trail. And it used to be a railroad that has been converted into this bike path. And also you'll see runners and hikers on it too. Oregon's Mount Hood Territory is also part of the Portland region. And this is the Willamette Falls, and they have a company called Energy, which is they're so knowledgeable about kayaking and stand-up paddleboarding. And not only do they take you out there on the water, but then they'll also give you a tour and talk about the land around the river area. And then, of course, there are more areas to explore, kind of as I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation. There's the Columbia River Gorge that gets you out to Mount Hood, but Columbia River Gorge, there are over 77 waterfalls. So there's a lot to see and do just along the historic highway. You can drive along the historic highway during peak season, during summer. It can get busy, so we just always recommend it's a much more pleasant experience to take a tour or one of the vehicles that they take visitors out on that. Mount Hood, which is it's unique in that you can go skiing on that all year rounds. We oftentimes have Olympians or the skiers and snowboarders that are practicing for Olympics. So they'll come out to Mount Hood since it does offer the year-round skiing. And then there's the Willamette Valley. That's the wine country. That's a little bit south of Tualatin Valley. So you're getting even deeper into wine country there. And then in terms of resources, we do have travelportland.com, which I'll share these links with Candace, who said that she'll be able to email these out to everyone after the presentation today. But we also have a page dedicated for travel industry professionals like you all. And this really gives information about step-on guides, or do you need hotel information? Because we can always send out an RFP and send out leads and get that information to you all. So whatever you need, or if you need any rights-free images, all of that is going to live on the Travel Industry Professionals webpage. And if you check back in just a couple of days, it's getting a revamp. We're really excited about that. So there'll be even more information on it than that there is now. I am your contact. As Candace said, I'm tourism manager for Travel Portland's. And so one of my primary markets is Canada. So I am happy to answer any of your questions that you may have about Portland and the Portland region. I'll pass it back to Candace, who I know said she was monitoring the Q&A box. So if there's anything I can help answer, I'm here to do so.
Thank you so much, Josie. That was a wonderful presentation. We really loved, I know all our travel agents, as did I, really loved learning more about Portland and all it has to offer as a destination. It is so rich in so many things, and what a great place to recommend to clients for our travel agents planning trips for their clients into the Western United States. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had a few comments here, and then questions, a few comments from Cheryl Donovan. She's a travel agent, and she was making a comment about the donuts in the food portion. And she was saying, I would love one of those chocolate donuts. I'll take two. Thank you for the excellent presentation. And she really liked the DIY of making baggage tags. That was a cool idea. I have another travel agent, Angela, who's saying, excellent presentation. I just recommended Portland to someone. Love it. Can't wait to go myself.
Thank you,
Yeah, on that note, in terms of travel agent visitation, with you being the contact, Josie, and I noticed there's also the travel agent website as well. Is there a time or a place where travel agents can go to find out about any travel agent rates for hotels or for seeing various attractions, something like that?
Yeah, definitely. Please, as a travel agent, please, if you ever are planning a trip to Portland, definitely connect with me, because I'd be happy to see if we can either organize some sort of FAM or familiarization tour while you're here. If we don't have capacity for that, then I can certainly connect with some of our hotels to see if there's an opportunity for any potential discounted rates. And then always definitely connect with me too, because I can get you a VIP attraction pass, because that is something that we have readily available for travel agents that are here in town in Portland. And it's 10 of our top attractions that gets you a free access pass, you and one other person too. So and you can visit as many or as few of the attractions that you would want to go to, but it includes anything from the Portland Japanese Garden to the Portland Art Museum, and even Portland Spirit, which that would be the cruise ship that takes you along the Willamette River. So thank you for that. Thank you so much for that question, Candace.
No, awesome. That's
so keep my contact info handy.
Yes, keep Josie's contact info handy. You have it here. I can also include it in the follow-up email that I send out as well. On that note, another question that I was thinking about had to do with also groups. So we have a lot of travel agents that are booking groups into especially US destinations like Portland. And so for those travel agents who are booking a corporate group or maybe a multi-generational family or something like that, and they're looking at possibly group rates or just some help with planning a group trip, would you be the contact for that as well, Josie?
I would be the contact for that too. And especially for those groups, whatever information that you have, they can send that to me. And then, for example, like accommodations, then I can take that information and then I'll ask you some questions about, okay, what type of hotel, or what are some of the needs? Like, does it need to have a swimming pool, or does it need to have this, or this, or breakfast included? Then I'll be able to send out a lead essentially to the hotels, and then they'll respond back to you directly with their proposals. And the same goes with any group activities, or maybe your group needs transportation, and I can send out any of those requests, the RFPs or leads, to our suppliers, and they'll be able to get you connected. And I should say too, that on that website, because I know something can be challenging for groups, would be group friendly dining. And we're actually including group-friendly dining for the first time on that website. But always, if you see there's something on that webpage that Candace will be sending you, if you ever need a personal connection, that's what we love to do, is we love to be able to connect you all with the suppliers that are here in Portland.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Cheryl has a question, and she's saying, I find that I usually have folks that are going to a conference that is being held in Portland or area. Oh, this is more common.
Oh.
Everyone always comments on how beautiful Oregon is on their return. So thanks, Cheryl, for sharing that.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. I think Cheryl was the one that also shared about the donuts. And I'll also mention that if you are a donut lover or you have clients that love donuts, we have donut tours. And,
oh, wow.
And there's also another company that does a combination of donuts and coffee. It's a great way to start off the morning. And the donut scene here, there are a lot of different donut places, from anything from the classic kind of mom and pop shop to like the more like the kind of the trendy, what sort of creative donut can we make? And so lots of donut options. So Cheryl, thank you. And thank you for your comment. And I'm glad those conference attendees have always had positive experiences. And
yes, definitely. And thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that tip about the donuts. On that note, I was also going to ask, we love to ask on here a little bit of insider information. Are there any restaurants or attractions or places that are kind of off the beaten path that you love to visit, that you love to share with visitors who come to Portland that you'd like to talk about here?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, there's this new little speakeasy, and you can't even really Google it. And it's off of Northwest 23rd, which is considered Nob Hill. And that street is filled with different, fun restaurants, boutiques, and it's also really close to get up to Washington Park. So you can kind of make a combo day in it. But there's a great little Vietnamese restaurant. It's called Lila's Bistro, and it's in this old Victorian home that's been converted into a restaurant. So that's easy. You can read about that. That's easy to find. But then there's just underneath, they opened it this past year. It's a little speakeasy, and it's called Grandma's. And it's part of Lila's Bistro, the Vietnamese restaurant, but it's their speakeasy bar. And you only know if it's open if the blue light is on. And so cool. I don't even think they have a website yet. I don't know if they will have a website or if it's all word of mouth. In fact, when I went there the other day, they asked, how did you find out about us? Because it's really hard to find any sort of information. And I was just kind of like, oh, I just sort of was walking by. And I've been to Lila's before, but the craft cocktails are phenomenal. They're really, really unique, and just like different ingredients that I'm like, it's like one of those, like, what ingredient is this? I'm not sure, but it's just like perfectly blended and crafted, and extremely excellent customer service there too. So that's kind of a fun little gem that I've only shared with you all. So now you can share with
here you go. You heard it here first here.
But grandmas look for the blue light. And if it's not on, Lila's Bistro is always amazing upstairs to get pho or like a banh mi sandwich.
Oh yeah, that sounds amazing. I did have a question here from a travel agent, Lynn, just asking about the restaurants. Is there like a range of price options for visitors when they come to Portland, or are most of the restaurants more higher end, expensive, or can visitors find cheaper eating options as well?
Yeah, and that's what I love about Portland, is that it's so accessible to any price point, because you can go to the food carts, or you can go to even a restaurant that's on 23rd that they do counter service instead of like the full dining experience. But you can really get the full range in terms of price, and no matter what, have an amazing food and dining experience. So something like the Restaurant Con that won the James Beard Award, that'll be on the higher price range, but then you have everything and anything in between. So thank you for that question. So even though, we're known as this foodie town, it's so approachable. And in fact, even a lot of the fine dining restaurants, it's shocking, I think, how affordable it is. And it's not like the classic formal dining that you maybe see in some of bigger towns where there's white tablecloth or someone wearing white gloves or something. It's very approachable because I
Awesome.
think Portland's just sort of a laid back town. And so all the restaurants have kind of a laid back attitude about it too.
Oh, great. Thank you. That is excellent information. And Lynn also shared that it was a wonderful webinar, and she says, thanks, Josie.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And then perhaps just to end, I know we mentioned at the beginning to our travel agent participants that there would be a prize for this webinar for staying through to the end. So for all of those of you who are still here, congratulations. You now are eligible to win today's prize for the webinar, which is $150 gift card to Columbia Outerwear. And Josie was just going to share a teeny little bit more about why Travel Portland decided to choose that as their gift for this webinar.
Thanks, Candace. Yeah, I just wanted to share that Columbia Sportswear, it's actually based here in Portland. Their headquarters is located here and they started here. So we're just so proud to have them in our city. And so we talked about being like a makerspace, and that's very much so true with Columbia Outfitters. And I was excited to see that they do have many brick and mortar stores, retail stores in Canada, but that you can also buy, there's like a specific Canadian website that you all can buy and then not have to be charged any duties or whatnot. So I know Candace, you said I'll get connected with them. So congratulations in advance to the lucky winner.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know that in Canada, we love our Columbia because it's just such great outerwear, and so many Canadians are outdoorsy. And so what a great way to connect Canadians a little bit more with Travel Portland and Portland as well. So great idea. And Lori on here also says, thank you very much for the webinar. Thanks, Lori, for your comment. And so with that, we are going to close out today's show. I want to say a very special thanks to Josie and to Travel Portland for being on here with us today and sharing all this wonderful information with our travel agent readers. And as always, travel agents, Travel Week community, thank you so much for being here. It is a pleasure to share this information with you and bring you the best in destination and travel product planning for your clients. So thank you, everyone. And until next time, stay tuned for the follow-up email and the prize winner announcement. Okay. Bye-bye, Josie. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for attending.
Thanks. Have a great rest of your day.